we're going to do a cylinder leak down test on the old 87, and the first step is to find top dead center compression on cylinder number, whichever one you're going to do, which is 1 right now. We should all know how to do this by now. We put our 19mm socket on, and I decided to use my bore scope so I don't have to turn it and go and top and look at my timing tab. I'm just going to watch until this gets to top dead center. Now, the other thing that we all know by now is there's 2 top dead centers. So make sure you're on compression, because if you're on exhaust, then of course your test will show that you have an exhaust leak. So make sure you're on compression. Let's see a little closer. I feel like I'm on compression because it's quite hard to turn right now. Okay, so this is our leak down tester. It comes with your gauges and your hose, and you want, once again, the end of these threads to be the same size as your spark plug threads. So if they're different sizes, it has some adapters, you would just screw that on there. And then you want to attach your air compressor to this end of your gauges. Just thread your hose into your spark plug hole, and then you attach it to your gauge. Okay, once you have your hose threaded in tight to your spark plug hole and hooked up to your gauge, and your air compressor is hooked up to the other side, you're going to pull on your dial and start letting the compressed air through the system. And you want the air coming in to roughly match the pressure that the cylinder is holding. And there's a threshold. I think you can be within like 10%. Anything more than that, you have a leak. So you want to turn this to try to get it to 100. You might not get all the way to 100, but once you kind of top out, you want to watch and see what your cylinder is holding. And this is actually holding good, but I do hear a little bit. If it wasn't holding pressure and you determined, like if this was staying steady but this was dropping, it means you have a leak, and it's either going to be in your exhaust valve, an intake valve, or an oil ring. So you listen at all those points. You could listen here or feel, and also feel down at your dipstick if you feel air coming out, or you would listen down at your exhaust or your exhaust manifold or your intake manifold and see if you hear anything. I definitely hear a little bit of leakage, and I feel like I hear a little bit of air, or feel a little bit of air, which again, I mean, it could be normal a little bit because no cylinder is going to be 100% airtight. But since our gauge is for the most part holding, I think we're pretty good. So then you would just repeat that on all your cylinders. And remember, you have to be on compression. You could be at top dead center exhaust and do your test, and it's going to make it look like you have a terrible exhaust leak. So if you are on number 4, top dead center, and you find out that you're on exhaust, don't turn your crank yet. Just go to cylinder number 1 and do your test on number 1. Because if 4 is top dead center exhaust, 1 will be on top dead center compression, and the same for 2 and 3. One of them is going to be top dead center exhaust, 1 will be compression. So the biggest pain in the ass for me is when you're doing this by yourself, you have to set up your compression or your leak down equipment, do 1 cylinder, then go lay on the ground, turn your crank, find top dead center for the next one, and like so on and so forth. So this very good drawing is trying to show you the most efficient way to do this. So you find top dead center number 1 compression, do your test on that one, then you turn your crank half a turn, then go to cylinder number 3. That one will be on compression. Do your test there, another half a turn, go to cylinder 4. That one should be on compression. Another half a turn, go to cylinder 2. That should be compression, because the firing order for this engine is 1, 3, 4, 2. So if you do it in this order, you will have gone 2 full turns of your crank and gone through the whole 4 cycles in all 4 cylinders. And that's the fastest way to do it. If you get to top dead center number 1, you try to do the test, you discover you're really on exhaust, you don't have to turn the crank. Just skip down to cylinder number 4, because that one will be on compression. If number 1 is on exhaust, number 4 is on compression. So do your test on that, then turn half a turn, go to number 2, test number 2, do another half a turn, go up to number 1, half a turn, then end on number 3. And that will still be the most efficient way to do it, whether you start on TDC compression 1 or TDC compression 4. You can still do this with just 2 full turns, a half a turn each time. So hopefully that makes sense.